Hi everyone, I'm Nirmal Rajratnam, Director of Product Management. Today I'm excited to talk about ransomware and extraction defense. So I want to start off with a story about, some time back, there was a small kid who died because of a ransomware attack. So I want to explain how that really happened. So, this is a thing that happened in Kansas. This hospital was compromised. And basically what happened was there was a kid in the bed who had a distress situation. That distress signal did not reach the nursing station. The reason it did not reach the nursing station is because the whole system was compromised, and thereby this whole communication network was all cut off. They could not act on it. So that's how the attackers actually caused problem. You would have heard about the Colonial Pipeline situation. So basically this problem is not just specific to the hospitals. It can apply your retail environment, your factories, your manufacturing units, whatever the case may be. And this is continuing to happen, and today IoT becomes your loophole, so to speak. So let me explain a little bit how this whole thing works. So there's something called a kill chain when it comes to cybersecurity or cyber threat. It starts off with reconnaissance. Then based on the scanning they do, they weaponize the information, and then once they weaponize, they try to figure out how to distribute that. Once it gets distributed, then it gets exploited. Once it's exploited, then it goes through the install process of actually spreading across all of your environment. At this stage, you're pretty much toast, so to speak, because even if you're off the network, you're still going to be in a problematic situation because they already have a foothold there. Now, then from there, they get to the command and control, where they basically start controlling your whole activity. Once they start controlling, then they can act on you and do whatever they feel like doing. So this is like pretty bad state. Like once you reach this particular stage, the command and control aspect of it, you're in a very, very bad situation. But things are not as bad as we think about it, because as you can see, there's a progression. Similar to this, there's also a layered security aspect of it, where you can start controlling at every step of the way. So let me talk about how both wired and wireless with an SD branch situation, how that protection happens. So as you can imagine, wireless connections are connected to your access points. Both of these in this particular example are wireless, let's say. They are connected to the access point. All the traffic from the access point for this, the whole solution to work, is a tunnel traffic where all of your enforcement actually happens at the gateway. Same thing applies for your manufacturing environment. Let's say this is a robotic arm, and let's assume this is also wireless, so it goes to this. And in this architecture, you can have access point connecting directly to the gateway, or the access point through the switch to the gateway. Same thing with the retail. But let's get into the little bit of a flow aspect of it. Let's say there is a traffic flow coming through. It gets into the access point, and then the enforcement happens at the gateway. So I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the IDS, IPS aspect of it. So for that to happen, the gateway actually talks to the cloud. Then the cloud will actually sync up with a repository where you get all the rule sets. Then the rule set gets downloaded through the cloud onto the gateway. That's where the enforcement happens. When it enforces, there are two modes you can apply. You can either do just a detect or detect and protect aspect of it, which is IDS and IPS. Once it does that, and this is the unique aspect of it, it can stop the traffic itself by doing the IPS, or it can just detect and just alert you. Now let's say it is going through the IPS mode, and for some case, let's say we talked about the hospital where this part was compromised. If there is a notification coming here, and let's say that traffic was the one that got impacted, it will continue to cause that problem. So this is where you can trigger an alert, and through that alert, you can send a notification to Splunk or maybe even to ClearPass to say that I am exceeding an alert of greater than 50 hits in a specific period of time. Once you hit that and you pass this trigger to ClearPass or Splunk, you do the necessary correlation. And then you can say that, okay, I'm going to apply some kind of change of authorization, so that that device that was causing the problem can get isolated or quarantined, so to speak. Now it will stop the threat from expanding beyond. So that's the gist of the big picture of how this threat is actually being controlled. Now, if I focus on the challenges and the solution, in this case, we are talking about a compromised device or a user, which is this particular device. In addition to that, it could be compromised because of a vulnerability of a site or an application where you can potentially protect it through the reputation aspect of it. And finally, the lateral movement aspect where once this gets affected, if I did not control, the whole environment gets impacted, just in the case of the Kansas hospital that we talked about. So every step of the way we can start protecting, where, for example, when I think about reconnaissance, you can potentially do vulnerability scan is what they do. You can potentially stop this by doing a detect part of it by using the visibility or detect functionality. Similarly, when you come to the control aspect where I was talking about IDS, IPS, so this weaponization happens outside, so we cannot really protect that. But here, the distribution part, I can do the protection or prevention. The exploit part, I can do the protection or prevention. And the install part, I could potentially do the protection or prevention. So that kind of takes care of this part of it. The last part is about this whole chain of completing the solution, where you basically say that, if I reach this limit, then I want to stop that particular device from even getting into the network or doing a change of authorization, therefore I can protect it. That part comes with a correlate and respond, where basically it takes the information, all the feeds that are coming through these protection aspect of it. Once that correlation happens through the Splunk or ClearPass, then ClearPass can potentially take that change of authorization action. So the correlation happens at the Splunk level, and the response or incident response aspect of it can happen through the ClearPass side of things. So obviously, you don't want to be in the the headlines of your systems getting impacted. So I'm sure the CIOs and CISOs who are watching this and listening to this can kind of get the idea of how we start from visibility or detection to the protection and prevention, the correlation and response aspect of it, the complete flow of incident response, and protecting you at every step of the way using our solution. Thank you for your time. Hopefully it was useful. For any more or any further information, please visit our website.